chaffinches and sparrows, let's go to see what happened, because they had a plan. They had a great plan to stop the big giants eating children, tiddlers. So let's go to see what happens then. Mixing the dream. It was dark now. The night had already begun. The BFG, with Sophie sitting on his hand, hurried into the cave and put on those brilliant blinding lights that seemed to come from nowhere. He placed Sophie on the table. "Stay there, please," he said, "and no chittering. I is needing to listen only to silence when I is mixing up such a not intoxicated drink as this." He hurried away from her. He got out an enormous empty glass jar that was the size of a washing machine. He clutched it into his chest and hurried towards the shelves, on which stood the thousands and thousands of smaller jars containing the captured dreams. "Dreams about giants," he muttered to himself as he searched the labels. "The giants is guzzling human beings? No, not that one. No, not that one. Here's one. And there's another one." He grabbed the jars and unscrewed the tops. He tipped the dreams into the enormous jar he was clutching, and as each one went in, Sophie caught a glimpse of a small sea green blob tumbling from one jar into the other. The BFG hurried towards another shelf. "Now," he muttered, "I is wanting dreams about giggly house for girls, and about bugle boxes for boys." He was becoming very tense now. Sophie could almost see the excitement bubbling inside him as he scurried back and forth among his beloved jars. There must have been 50,000 dreams altogether up there on the shelves, but he seemed to know almost exactly where every one of them was. "Dreams about little girls," he muttered. "And dreams about me. About the BFG. Come on, hurry up. Get on with it. Now, where in the wonky world is I keeping those?" And so it went on. In about half an hour, the BFG had found all the dreams he wanted and had tipped them into a huge jar. He put the jar on the table. Sophie sat watching him but said nothing. Inside the big jar, lying on the bottom of it, she could clearly see about 50 of those oval sea green jellyfish shapes, all pulsing gently in and out, some lying on top of each of others, but each one still a quite separate individual dream. "Now we is mixing them, the BFG announced. He went to the cupboard where he kept his bottle of Frobscottle, and from it he took out a gigantic egg beater. It was one of those that has a handle which you turn, and down below there are a lot of overlapping blades that go whistling around. He inserted the bottom end of his contraption into the big jar, where the dreams were lying. "Watch," he said. He started turning the handle very fast. Flashes of green and blue exploded inside the jar. The dreams were being whisked into a sea green froth. "The poor things." "They is not feeling it," the BFG said as he turned the handle. "Dreams is not like human beings or animals. They has no brains. They is made of zuzi mousse." That's the BFG. Finding all the dreams, and there is the BFG mixing them. Right. After about a minute, the BFG stopped whisking. The whole bottle was now full to the brim with large bubbles. They were almost exactly like bubbles we ourselves blow from soapy water, except that though these had even brighter and more beautiful colors swimming on their surfaces. "Keep watching," the BFG said. Quite slowly, the topmost bubble rose up through the neck of the jar and floated away. A second one followed, then a third and a fourth. Soon the cave was filled with hundreds of beautifully colored bubbles, all drifting gently through the air. It was truly a wonderful sight. As Sophie watched them, they all started floating towards the cave entrance, which was still open. "They're going out." "Of course," the BFG said. "Where to?" "Those is all little tiny dream speeds that I isn't using," the BFG said. "They is going back to the misty country to join up with proper dreams." "It's all a bit beyond me," Sophie said. "Dreams is full of mystery and magic," the BFG said. "Do not try to understand them. Look in the big bottle and you will now see the dreams you is wanting for the queen." Sophie turned and stared into the great jar. On the bottom of it, something was thrashing around wildly, bouncing up and down and flinging itself against the walls of the jar. "Good heavens!" she cried. "Is that it?" "That's it," the BFG said proudly. "But it's horrible. It's jumping about. It wants to get out." "That's because it's a struggle hamper. It's a nightmare." "Oh, but I don't want you to give the queen a nightmare." "If she is dreaming about giants gathering up little boys and girls, then what you expecting it to be except of a nightmare?" "Oh no, oh yes, a dream where you is seeing little chittlers being eaten is about the most frightsome, struggle humping dream you can get. It's a kicksy pop thumper. It's a whoopsie rob switcher. It's all of them rattling into one. It is as bad as a dream. It is as bad as that dream I blew into the flesh lamp pizza this afternoon. It's worse." Sophie stared down at the fearful nightmare dream that was still thrashing away in the huge glass jar. It was much larger than the others. It was about the size and shape of, shall we say, a turkey's leg? It was jellies. It had tingles of bright scarlet deep inside. There was something terrible about the way it was throwing itself against the sides of the jar. "But I don't want to give a queen a bad nightmare," Sophie said. "I is thinking," the BF said, "that your queen will be happy to have a nightmare. If having a nightmare is going to save a lot of human beings from being gobbled up by fearsome animals, like giants. Is I right or left?" "I suppose you're right. It's got to be done." "She will soon be getting over." "Have you put all the other important things into it?" "When I is blowing that dream into the queen's bedroom, she will be dreaming every single little thing you is asking me to make her dream." "About me sitting on a windowsill as well?" That part was very strong." "And about the big friendly giant?" "I is putting in a nice long wobbling about him." The BFG said. As he spoke, he picked up one of his smaller jars and very quickly tipped the struggling, thrashing struggle hamper out of the large jar into the small one. Then he screwed the lid tightly onto the small jar. "That's it," he announced. "We is now ready." He fetched his suitcase and put the small jar into it. "Why bother to take a great big suitcase when you've only got one jar? You could put the jar in your pocket." The BFG looked down at her and smiled. "By goggles," he said, taking the jar out of the suitcase. "Your head is not quite so full of grimsludge after all. I can see you is not born last week." "Thank you, kind sir," Sophie said, making a little curtsy from the tabletop. "Is you ready to leave?" the BFG asked. "I'm ready," Sophie cried. Her heart was beginning to thump at the thought of what they were going to do. It really was a wild and crazy thing. Perhaps they would both be thrown into prison? the BFG was putting on his great black cloak. He tucked the jar into a pocket in his cloak. He picked up his long trumpet-like dream blower. Then he turned and looked at Sophie, who was still on the tabletop. "That dream bottle is in my pocket," he said. "Is you going to sit in there with it during the trouble?" "Never," Sophie cried. "I refuse to sit next to that beastly thing." "Then where you is going to sit?" Sophie looked at him over for a few moments. Then she said, if you will be kind enough to swivel one of your lovely big ears so that it is lying flat like a dish, that will make a very cozy place for me to sit." "By Wumbo, that is a squircling good idea." Slowly, he swiveled his huge right ear until it was like a great shell facing the heavens. He lifted Sophie up and placed her into it. The ear itself, which was about the size of a large tea tray, was full of some channels and crinkles as a human ear. It was extremely comfortable. I hope I don't fall down your ear hole," Sophie said, edging away from the large hole just beside her. "Be very careful not to do that. You will be giving me a cronky earache." The nice thing about being there was that she could whisper directly into his ear. "You tickling me for a bit. Please, don't jiggle about." "I'll try not to. Are we ready?" "Oh, wee! Don't do that!" "I didn't do anything." "You is talking too loud. You is forgetting that I is hearing every little tingling dangling 50 times louder than usual. And here and there you is shouting away right inside my ear." "Oh gosh, of course, I forgot that." "Your voice is sounding like a thunder and trumpets." "I'm so sorry. Is that better?" "No, it sounds as though you is shuffling off a blunderbush." "Then how can I talk to you?" "Don't," cried the poor BFG. "Please don't. Each word is like you is dropping buzz bombs into my ear hole." Sophie tried speaking right under her breath. "Is this better?" she said. She spoke so softly she couldn't even hear her own voice. "That's better. Now I is hearing you very nicely. What is it you trying to say to me just now?" "I was saying, are we ready now?" "Whiz off!" cried the BFG, heading for the cave entrance. "Whiz off to meet Her Majesty the Queen." Outside the cave, he rolled a large round stone back into place and set off a tremendous gallop. Tomorrow we will see Journey to London. Okay, have a lovely evening, everyone. Adios.